Have you ever noticed the space between a thought and an action? It's a tiny, almost imperceptible universe. In that universe, entire futures are decided. You're sitting there and the thought arrives, clear as a bell. I should go for a walk. I should send that email. I should apologize. I should finally start. It's a pure, unconflicted impulse, and for a single, fleeting moment, it's all that exists. Then something shifts. The universe begins to collapse. It starts with a whisper. You're tired, maybe later. Then a chorus joins in. What if it's awkward? What if you fail? You don't have everything you need. Just check your phone first. This is where we live. In the space after the impulse, and before the doubt solidifies into an action, we have been taught that change requires Herculean effort, monumental willpower, a complete overhaul. But what if that's the greatest trick our hesitation ever played on us? I want to propose something radically simple, a 10-second challenge, not 10 seconds to solve all your problems, but 10 seconds to do one decisive thing. The moment you have an instinct that aligns with a better version of your life, a healthier instinct, a braver instinct, a more generous instinct, you have 10 seconds to physically begin, 10 seconds to put on your running shoes. 10 seconds to press call, 10 seconds to write the first sentence, 10 seconds to speak the kind word. Why 10 seconds? Because it's just long enough to move, and just short enough to outrun the committee of doubts already gathering in your mind. Your mind is a magnificent palace, but it has very efficient guards at the door, whose only job is to keep things the same. They are not evil, they are just terrified of the new. 10 seconds is your chance to slip past them. There is a frontier that exists not in space, but in time. It is a narrow 10-second wide territory that forms in the silent wake of a clear, positive instinct. In this brief and potent window, the entire trajectory of a moment, a day, or even a life is quietly determined. This is the space between the initial, unadulterated impulse. I should speak up, I should start, I should reach out, I should move. And the moment that impulse is systematically dismantled by the established defenses of your own mind. We often believe that our biggest battles are fought over days or years, waged with grand strategies and immense willpower. But the truth is, the most critical struggle is often concluded in a mere handful of heartbeats. It is a swift internal coup that either succeeds or fails before the outside world has even noticed a change was afoot. This 10-second window is a state of pure potential. The instinct itself is a spark of your most authentic and courageous self. It is uncensored, unpolluted by calculation or fear. It is the part of you that knows what is right, what is necessary, what is growth. For those 10 seconds, that spark has a chance to catch flame. But the moment you hesitate, the moment you entertain the first flicker of a counter-argument, you initiate a collapse. The mental machinery designed to protect you from harm, embarrassment, and wasted energy kicks into gear with devastating efficiency. This machinery, the committee of doubts, the efficient guards at the door, is not your enemy. Its intention is noble, to keep you safe, to conserve your resources, to maintain the predictable equilibrium of your current existence. But it mistakes all change for danger. It interprets courage as risk and vulnerability as a threat. The 10-second challenge, therefore, is not a test of strength, but a test of speed. It is the understanding that you cannot win a rational debate with an irrational fear. You cannot out-logic a system whose primary function is to generate logical, sounding excuses for inaction. The only way to prevail is to act before the debate is formally opened. The countdown 10, 9, 8 is not a motivational tool, it is a strategic bypass. It creates a cognitive tunnel that allows the initial impulse to travel directly from your intuition to your physical body, without being detained for processing by the fear centers of your brain. The goal is to achieve motion before the mind has finished drafting its first objection. This is why the challenge is rooted in a physical beginning. The act of standing up, of opening the laptop, of picking up the phone, is a tangible, irreversible event that creates a new reality. The body leads, and the mind, often surprised, has no choice but to follow. By the time the mental guards have assembled, you are already on the other side of the action. You have crossed the frontier. The 10 seconds are the narrow bridge between the land of intention and the land of action. Staying put reinforces the old borders. Crossing, even once, begins to redraw the map of what is possible for you. Every successful crossing weakens the guards for the next time, proving that the territory beyond the familiar is not a wasteland of failure, but a landscape of your own becoming. Your mind is a magnificent palace, a seat of reason, creativity, and memory. But like any seat of power, it is protected by a dedicated and highly efficient security detail. These are not malevolent forces. They are the psychological bodyguards of your status quo. Their mandate is simple and primal. Ensure your survival by minimizing risk, conserving energy, and avoiding the unpredictable. They are brilliant at their jobs, and their primary tactic is conversation. The moment a new, ambitious impulse arises, a spark of courage, a call to create, an invitation to connect, they do not block the door with brute force. Instead, they calmly invite you into a meeting. This meeting is where impulses go to die. It is held in the conference room of your consciousness, and the guards are master negotiators. They speak in the reasonable, familiar language of your own voice. They present detailed risk assessments, outlining every possible path to embarrassment or failure. They appeal to your comfort, reminding you how tired you are, how much easier it would be to simply stay put. They question your preparedness, your timing, your inherent worthiness for the task. This is not a loud, dramatic confrontation. It is a quiet, persuasive, and utterly draining internal seminar on all the reasons why you should not act. And because these guards have access to your entire history of fears and past failures, their arguments are compelling, personalized, and feel like your own rational thoughts. The 10-second challenge is the only way to decline this meeting. It is the understanding that you cannot win the negotiation once it has begun. You cannot argue a lifetime of conditioning and a neural network designed for self-preservation. The moment you engage with the first doubt, you know, I am a little tired. You have already taken a seat at the table. You have given the guards the floor, and they will use every second you give them. The countdown from 10 is your evasive maneuver. It is the cognitive equivalent of politely saying, no thank you, I'm not available for this discussion, and then physically walking away. You are not trying to silence the guards, you are simply choosing not to attend the briefing. By moving your body within that window, you render their entire negotiation obsolete. You change the conversation from a theoretical debate about possibilities to a tangible reality of action. The guards can argue with a thought, but they cannot argue with your body already in motion. The question is no longer, should I go for a run? Because you are already lacing up your shoes. It is no longer, should I make that call? Because your phone is already in your hand. The 10-second rule is a tool of sovereign authority. It allows you to respectfully overrule your own overprotective security team by demonstrating, through immediate action, that the perceived threat is in fact a path to growth. Each time you succeed, you teach these guards a new definition of safety, one that includes the profound security that comes from trusting and acting upon your own deepest instincts. We are conditioned to believe a fundamental lie about human motivation, that the feeling must precede the action. We wait to feel inspired before we pick up the paintbrush. We wait to feel confident before we speak our mind. We wait to feel energetic before we go for the run. We stand at the edge of the pool, dipping a toe in, waiting for the feeling of being ready to swim to magically arrive. This is the great procrastination of the spirit. It hands the keys to our potential over to the most volatile and unreliable part of ourselves, our transient emotional weather. The revolutionary promise of the 10-second rule is that it completely shatters this flawed sequence. It understands a profound psychological truth. Action is not the child of feeling. Very often, feeling is the child of action. The brain is an organ that excels at observing reality and then constructing a narrative to explain it. When your body is still, when you are locked in hesitation, the brain observes this inactivity and provides the corresponding feeling, inertia, doubt, anxiety. It rationalizes the standstill. But when you force the body to move, when you stand up, when you open the door, when you take the first physical step, the brain witnesses this new reality. It sees the body in motion and begins to generate the emotional state that aligns with that action. The momentum of a physical beginning creates a tiny, self-sustaining chain reaction. The act of putting on your shoes generates a flicker of runner identity. The action of typing the first sentence conjures a wisp of writer focus. You do not need the full feeling to launch the endeavor. The endeavor itself will manufacture the feeling you need to continue. This is the alchemy of the 10-second commitment. It bypasses the futile attempt to think your way into a different state of mind. You cannot reason your way into courage while you are sitting comfortably in fear, but you can act your way into courage. The physical movement itself is the spark that ignites the psychological change. The fear does not necessarily vanish, but it is joined by something new, the evidence of your own capability. The feeling of confidence is not a prerequisite you must locate within yourself before you begin. It is the quiet realization that arrives after you have begun, a realization that whispers, you are already doing it, and you are okay. By decoupling action from the need for a specific emotional state, you liberate yourself from the tyranny of your own moods. You stop being a passive weather vane, spun by every wind of anxiety or apathy, and become the architect of your own climate. The 10-second rule is the tool that allows you to lay the first brick of action, trusting that the motivation, the confidence, and the clarity will arrive as honored guests to the party you have already started. We often fall into the trap of believing that a life of meaning and purpose is built upon a foundation of grand, sweeping transformations. We envision a future version of ourselves who emerged from a single, pivotal moment of change, a dramatic leap of faith, a sudden windfall of discipline, a complete and total reinvention. We wait for this mythical moment, believing that our current incremental efforts are too small to matter. This is a seductive but dangerous illusion. The truth is far more humble and far more powerful. A life of purpose is not constructed in a day with the crane and steel of a single decision. It is laid brick by brick through the relentless daily practice of tiny 10-second commitments. The 10-second challenge is the delivery system for these bricks. It is the mechanism that translates a fleeting intention into a tangible piece of your reality. Each time you use it, to choose a healthy snack, to offer a word of appreciation, to begin a difficult task, to listen with full attention, you are not merely completing an item on a to-do list. You are actively laying another brick in the foundation of your character. Individually, each action seems almost laughably insignificant. It is easy to dismiss the importance of writing for 60 seconds, or of making a single phone call, or of resisting one minor temptation. We undervalue these moments because we cannot see the cumulative structure they are building, but the architecture of a life operates on the principle of compound interest. One brick does not make a wall, but 10 bricks begin to define a space. 100 bricks create a room. 1,000 bricks form a home for your new identity. The first time you use the 10-second rule to force yourself to exercise, it is a struggle. The 10th time, it is a routine. The 100th time, you are no longer someone who tries to work out. You are a person who moves your body. The action ceases to be a battle and becomes a simple expression of who you are. This is the silent, gradual process of becoming. You are not changing into a new person. You are uncovering and solidifying the person you have always had the potential to be, one 10-second decision at a time. This is how a 5-star life is built, not from the top down through a master blueprint, but from the ground up through the consistent laying of a solid foundation. The grand vision is not the architect, it is merely the inspiration. The true architects are your daily, momentary choices. The 10-second challenge is the trowel in your hand, the tool that allows you to place each brick with intention. The masterpiece of your existence is not painted with a single, broad stroke of fate or talent. It is meticulously rendered through thousands of small, deliberate strokes of courage, discipline, and kindness. You are not waiting to become the person who lives that life. With every 10-second victory, you are already building it around and within yourself, starting now. Every time you stand at the precipice of a 10-second decision, you are not merely choosing an action. You are casting a vote in the most important election you will ever participate in, the election for your own identity. In that fleeting moment, you are presented with two candidates. One is the person you have been, the self that is comfortable, familiar, and conditioned by past habits and fears. The other is the person you have the potential to become, the self that is courageous, disciplined, and aligned with your deepest aspirations. The 10-second challenge is the voting booth. To hesitate, to overthink, to succumb to the whisper of later, is to cast your ballot for the former self. It is to reaffirm the narrative that you are someone who hesitates, who doubts, who chooses comfort over growth. But to physically move, to take that tiny, decisive action within the 10-second window, is to cast a powerful, unequivocal vote for your future self. It is a declaration to your own spirit. I am the kind of person who acts. I am the kind of person who follows through. I am the kind of person who trusts my instincts. This process of identity shifting is not a singular, dramatic event. It is a slow, steady accumulation of these microscopic votes. You do not become a writer by announcing you will write a book. You become a writer the first time you open a blank document and write a single sentence against your will, propelled by that 10-second countdown. You do not become a healthy person by purchasing a gym membership. You become a healthy person the first time you choose the stairs over the elevator on a tired Tuesday afternoon because you moved before your mind could object. Each 10-second decision is a brick, and with every brick you lay, the edifice of your new identity becomes more solid, more real, more unshakable. The old stories you told yourself, I'm not disciplined, I'm not brave, I'm a procrastinator, begin to crumble under the weight of contradictory evidence. The evidence is your own actions, piling up, one after another. This is the profound, long-term power of the challenge. It is not merely a productivity hack for getting small tasks done. It is a factory for self-respect. Every time you honor an instinct to act, you build trust with yourself. You learn that you can rely on you. This self-trust becomes the bedrock of genuine confidence, a confidence that is not dependent on external validation, but is rooted in the private knowledge of your own integrity. The goal, then, transcends the individual task. The run you take, the page you write, the conversation you start, these are important, but they are also byproducts. The true prize is the person you become in the process, a person who no longer debates their own potential, but actively constructs it, one 10-second vote at a time. Your most authentic life is not a destination you arrive at. It is the identity you earn through the relentless daily practice of voting for your bravest, most capable self.